6.
6 minutes. Vitus Boye Yemi, please come up.
See, there's a way in the front. See, where Vitus is passing through. You go through there.
Good afternoon, city gentlemen. We are here today with one of our conglomerates, one of the most respected listed companies in Nigeria, no any other company than the USC. From my own side at the NGS Group, I have my humble self, Umaru Kwairanga. We have Temi Popola, we have Juchi Emeka, we have Femi Shobanjo, we have Tony, and we have Bolaji Balogun is part of us too. Is there anyone that I have not called? What of Shonekan? He decided to go behind. This is, when you call UAC, you know you are calling of Shonekan. So on this note, we have 5 minutes. Let me quickly invite the MD, the group MD of UAC. No any other person than the man by my right-hand side, so that he can at least introduce his own team. Then we can do the closing gong. Then we can invite him to support. We go for the facts behind the figures, where all the questions from our city gentlemen, the pressmen, will be answered. Thank you very much. You are welcome once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. It's an honor and privilege to be here today to address the exchange and to ring the gong. With me is the chair of our risk committee and non-executive director, Mrs. Suzanne Roche. To her right is Mrs. Bolari Okunowa, managing director of CAP, listed in her own right. Behind me is Buega Dedeji, managing director of Livestock Feeds PLC, also listed. And to his left is Yemi Oloyede, the managing director of UAC Foods. Beside Yemi, hiding at the back, is Neka Chime, our chief strategy and operations officer. And beside her is a lady who will be familiar to many of you, our group general company secretary. And beside Mipo is Funke Ijaya Oladipo, our group finance director. And in the far corner over there, you have Debola Badijo, our group investment director. And Vitus Ezinwa, managing director of Grand Cereals Limited. Just a few words. I think I've introduced our team. I don't think I've missed anybody. As we prepared for this session today, we were thinking about the number of companies in Nigeria. There are about over 9 million companies registered. And the number of quoted companies only about 140. So it's an extremely privileged club to be part of, and we don't take that privilege lightly. What we will be presenting today is the acquisition of Chi Limited, which is a large transaction, and we will share the facts behind the figures for it. One of the things we'll be doing is sharing the journey that led us to the point where we made this acquisition. And there are a few points I would like to highlight. One is UAC's heritage, which the chairman has touched about. So my colleagues and I are fortunate to stand on the shoulders of giants. There are many that went before us that paved the way and built up to a particular point, so we're grateful for that. The second is the discipline. So I should add that of the 140 companies that are listed, it's not a right, it's a privilege. And there's a long journey a company has to go for to qualify to be listed. We are fortunate to have been on that journey with the exchange for over 50 years. We're one of the most oldest listed companies. And that privilege, when it's granted, also has to be maintained. Although our friends are smiling with us today, they're tough. They make sure we adhere to very strict standards of compliance. And that discipline and governance that is required to be a member of this very exclusive club is what laid the foundations for this acquisition that we managed to conclude. We think it's a very good one. We're going to share details with you in a second. And so just thank you to the NGX for allowing us to be a member of this club. and to the market that has partnered with us for over 50 years, supporting us and providing us with the capital that we use to grow the business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Group MD, CEO. It's a privilege for us to host you today. We have less than 1 minute, 30 seconds, and it's too, I don't think it's enough for somebody like Bolaji to speak now. After the closing gong, then we'll still invite him. But let me invite Temi to say a word or two before we close, then we can invite Bolaji and Jude to speak. Thank you very much. Temi, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I just want to add to some of the comments I made earlier. It's extremely, I think, inspiring, not just for our markets, but for our nation, to see young people that can execute what I call monumental transactions like this. And it honestly gives us a lot of hope and encouragement. I want to congratulate Fola and the entire team. Thank you for your listing. Thank you for the business. And we really do look forward to, as we also push the exchange further along, that we can do a lot more together. It's an extreme honor to have you also, Madam Iroche, also here. And we really want to wish the company well. This is just the start, we're sure, of even bigger, brighter, better things. Finally, I like the fact that you have many companies listed already on the exchange. You see the capital markets as a good venue, and we'll look to deepen that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Temi. Like the way I've said, we can close the market. Then I will invite Bolaji, Ahonsi, and Jude to speak, at least before I can go back to our doyen. So, Group CEO, you can hold this. We have 9 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, sir. Very much, USC. Once more, you are welcome back to your exchange. So let me invite Bolaji Balogun, please, to speak a word or two, not only as the person behind the UAC and the acquisition, but as a senior broker in this market. Mr. Bolaji Balogun, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Group Managing Director. Really delighted to be here, my colleagues and my own community. On the 3rd of December, 1991, I did my first trade on this floor. And for those of you of that generation, we used to trade with an official list. And UAC was in the conglomerate section, which was quite early in the official list. The first trade that I did that day, because I spent the whole day trying to figure out what was going on around me, was 5,000 units of UAC. What an incredible turnaround. And Fola is one of my favorite people in the world. And I rev him up a lot. And all I can say to you is just keep making us proud, and there's still more to do.
Okay. Ahonsi, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Bolaji.
Good afternoon, Doyen, stockbrokers here, UAC board and management. You know, I have to apologize for I came in just at the closing gong right on time. I was actually out of the country and just arrived and rushed straight here. I was actually going to be absent because I knew that the time would be tight and the traffic in Marina. But Bolaji Balogun, who is also an older brother of mine, and I mean that through family, by the way, talked about but I'm here because of UAC today, not just NGX. I've known the group CEO of UAC since secondary school, as a senior in secondary school, and he has always excelled. We also worked together in my banking career. When I got my job at Islamic IBTC, I had 2 conditions for my employment. One was money. The second was there are 2 people that must be allowed to join us. He was the first name on the list. He came, joined us in Islamic, and took over as head of investment banking. I had the same role. We both had the same job, and about 20 years ago when we were working there, I'm not sure either of us knew that we'll be standing here today. He's done an acquisition, he and his team have done an acquisition that is, transformational and audacious, the amount of money he's raised. I know a thing or two about that in my own personal business too. He's the, in fact, if he wasn't Group CEO of UAC, he would maybe be Group CEO in my own business, and I'll leave it for him. But he's doing okay on his own. So I just came to congratulate him, tell him that I'm proud of him. And maybe one day I too can be standing here not as NGX chairman, but as Group CEO, banging my own gong in my own right. And just keep the flag flying. Congrats.
Thank you very much, Alton. Jude, please.
All right, Chair. Let me just join others to welcome UAC to our floor. And I believe we'll get all the information concerning this latest acquisition and a lot more when we go upstairs for the facts behind the figures. But just to say that the exchange is truly happy to welcome you and to also thank you for recognizing the strength in the capital market within your group. You have other companies that are listed, and also to encourage you to use the capital market more, not just via equities, but as a multi-asset exchange. You can also do bonds, utilizing the exchange. And more recently, we just got our approval from the SEC to list and trade commercial paper. So the exchange is really a platform that can meet all your capital market and funding requirements. Welcome.
So before going to my doyen, I can see Farouk Oregba there. I can see Mr. Babalola. So please, over to you, sir.
The chairman of NGS Group, the management of NGS, the chairman of UAC and his team, the chairman of, is it the MD of UAC and his group. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. You are actually not a new person to us. You've always been part of us, right from inception up to now. And you've played a major role in the evolution of NGS. The same way, NGS has also played a major role in the development, I will not say the evolution of UAC, but in the development of UAC. I think it's been a very mutual and successful relationship, and I hope it will continue to be so. I'm particularly happy to be here today because I'm interested in the development within the UAC, within and outside the UAC group. And when I got here and I see the team representing the UAC group, I said to myself, no wonder. You now have the young and a mixture of the old now driving the company and therefore trying and successfully breaking new ground. I think we as brokers, we are particularly interested in the various new areas that you have ventured into, particularly your recent acquisition of Chi Limited, which you have alluded to. You are going to give us more information when we go upstairs. But we are interested because the figure I have said is about 182 billion venture that we have deal, and it's on record as the largest merger and acquisition in Nigerian consumer good space, which is quite an achievement. And I congratulate you for that. You say the Nigerian consumer goods space, the size of the transaction increased UAC's ambition to transform the market. The transaction is expected to increase the, the Nigerian 2025 revenue by over 200%. I think that's quite ambitious, but I can see why it is so. A young MD trying to be very ambitious, and I'm looking forward to you achieving ambition. So I wouldn't want to say too much. I'd like to listen to you upstairs, because this is a pivotal development, and we want to see how you are able to manage to put this together, and not only putting it together, to put on record something that is going to transform UAC from how we used to know UAC to what you now want it to be like. I congratulate you. I wait and listen to you upstairs before I have more comment. Congratulations to you and your team. Well done. Thank you very much.
The group chairman, the group CEO, please permit me to ask Prof to sing our family song to the new UAC and the new management of UAC. Thank you.
The chairman of NGX Group and the group CEO of UAC, all other protocols observed. How am I doing, sir? We're already joining our hands like an unbroken family. The same thing is happening on the podium. We are singing this family song in honor of UAC PLC, the forerunner of the organized private sector in Nigeria. And we are doing this after the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. For they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows. And so say all of us, hooray! And so say all of us, hooray! And so say all of us, hooray! For they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows. And so say all of us. 3 hearty cheers. First, in honor of UAC PFC. Next, in honor of NGX. Third and final for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, 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 hip. Thank you very much.
This is spring water, and it contains no artificial treatment and no chemicals. But there's more. Swan spring water contains minerals like calcium, magnesium, and zinc, and these minerals help strengthen the bones, support the immune system, and improve quality sleep. This is why Swan is the only water brand endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Embrace each day, face it with grace. Let your spirit soar in every space. Change your view, let it be sure and true. And you know that Hollandia is there for you. You can stay ahead with their power. Stay ahead with Hollandia. You can stay ahead with their power. Stay ahead with Hollandia. Let your wheel be your guiding light, and watch as your dreams. Always knowing Hollandia is there for you. You can stay ahead with their power. Stay ahead with Hollandia. You can stay ahead with their power. Stay ahead with Hollandia.
That's right. Hollandia dairy products contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to help you stay ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to Facts Behind the Figures from UAC of Nigeria PLC. Great to be here. My name is Rhoda Sodiri, host of the Global Business Report. We have almost a full house here. We're going to get started, I think, any moment from now, because our high table is seated already. So I think we're going to start with safety protocol, a video that we always play every time we are gathered here at the NGX. So if our team can put that together, just so we know what to do in case of the incasity, I'd say.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nigerian Exchange Group Event Center. At Nigerian Exchange Group, your comfort and safety is our priority. As part of our health and safety policy, please listen to the following announcement. For your convenience, the restrooms are located to your right, just outside the door of this event hall. In the unlikely event of an emergency, 2 exits have been provided for your use. A stairway that you can access from the lift lobby just before you enter the event center. Another emergency exit is located right behind the stage's backdrop. The door can be opened by pushing the handle. Please do not use the elevators during an emergency. Rather, locate the nearest exit from where you are sitting in a calm and orderly fashion. Emergency responders will also be available to provide additional instructions as required. Please switch off your cell phones or activate the silent function so we don't interrupt the proceedings here today. Once again, welcome, and do enjoy your stay at Nigerian Exchange Group.
All right. Welcome again for the Facts Behind the Figures for UAC of Nigeria PLC, 145-year-old company. They're in consumer goods, they're in industrials. Stock price is up, 100% so far this year. It opened at 32 Naira at the beginning of the year, and it's like 68 yesterday. And of course, the big announcement around the acquisition of Chi, which deserves a round of applause, right? So there's a whole lot to get into, and I'm going to first introduce the high table. I heard his voice once he was walking in. It's always great when he's here. He's so, oh man, the passion of this gentleman. Please, the group chairman, NGX Group, Alhaji Dr. Umaru Kwaranga. And also, the CEO of the NGX, Mr. Jude Chiamaka. Also, the CEO of NGX Regulation, Mr. Olufemi Shobanjo. Also, the head of NGX Primary Markets, Tony Ibesiako. And also the Doyen, Alhaji Rashid Yusuf. Yep. All right, also moving on now to the UAC representatives here, the executives here, the Group Managing Director, UACN PLC, Mr. Fola Yesumoju. Welcome. Also the Group Finance Director, Mrs. Funke Ileya Odalikwo. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Also the Group General Counsel, Company Secretary, Ms. Ayomikpo Wei. And then the Independent Non-Executive Director, Mrs. Suzanne Iroche. Also have to recognize Mr. Bolaji Balogun, CEO of Chapel Hill Denim. Welcome, sir. All right, additional recognitions here, also from the Nigerian Exchange Limited Capital Market stakeholders, Mr. Adeyinka Shoneko, Executive Director, CSCS. Also, Mr. Farouk Oregba, CEO of the NG Clearing. Yep, there he is. You're welcome, sir. And then representing the President and Chairman of the Council, CIS, Mr. Tui Ayoade, Council Member, CIS. You're welcome, sir. Mr. Abimbola Babalola, Head of Trading and Products at the NGX. You're welcome, you're welcome. And Mr. Simon Data, the Doyen. We've got two Doyens here today. You're very welcome, sir. And, okay, additionally also from UACN PLC, the MD, UAC Foods Limited, Mr. Oluyemi Oluyede. There he is, you're welcome. MD, Chemical and Allied Products PLC, Mrs. Bolari Okunowo. Welcome. MD, Livestock Feeds PLC, Mr. Adegboyega Adedeji. There he is. You're welcome. The MD of Grand Cereals Limited, Dr. Vitos Ezinwa. Group Investment Director, UACN PLC, Mr. Debola Badejo. All right, and also financial advisors, she's right here in front of me, Mrs. Kemi Awide, Managing Director, Investment Banking, Chapel Hill Denham. Mr. Lanre Buluro, Managing Director, Capital Markets, Chapel Hill Denham. You're welcome, sir. He threatened to cut my hair when he walked in, so I'm afraid of him right now. Mrs. Marie Ukpere, MD, Quantum Zenith Capital and Investments. There she is. And last and certainly not least, Mrs. Oyinda Akinyemi, Executive Director, Stanbic IBTC Capital. All right, so full house. It's just my honor. He's going to kick things off. I mean, who else, right? Please, a round of applause for the group chairman, NGX Group, Dr. Umar Kwaranga, as he gives us his opening remarks.
Maybe I may be the one to get the barber so that we can cut there to Asana. Let me start on existing protocol. I believe the MC have done excellently well in laying all the names that are there. If I have to start mentioning the name, it will take so much time for us. But please, bear with me to mention one or two of the people that are here. Especially my sister from the right-hand side. It's not always that we have people like them. They have done extremely well in the corporate world. And I'm not surprised that she's part of the board of UAC. Madam, we are always proud of you, Mr. Dochi. And I believe the MD, whose face I think is always deceiving people, thinking that he's young, he's young, he's young. For you to attain that level, where if you can recall, the Shonekans of Dirua have occupied that seat. You cannot call him as a young person. With that, he has transformed. And you can see the big card of acquiring the chi. You always have a big card, big dream before you can be able to make that type of acquisition. So once more, you are welcome, my MD. I'm always proud of you. And not any other person than the person that packaged and brought them to the market. One of our doing this market, the group MD of Chapel Hill, a senior broker, Mr. Bolaji Balogun. And I believe my colleagues, the city gentlemen, I can see so many of the shareholders associations, which are our friends, they are part and parcel of this market. We're always proud to have you people around us. And we are working together, and with your support, we can do more at the NGX. So distinguished guests, members of the investment community, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to today's Facts Behind the Figures presentation by UAC of Nigeria PLC, one of Nigeria's most enduring, iconic, and oldest surviving organization in Nigeria. This platform remains a critical engagement mechanism through which we at NGS encourage transparent disclosures, deepen market understanding, and foster informed investment decisions. We are therefore pleased to host UACN today as they provide deeper insight into their performance, strategic priorities, and outlook. UAC's story is one that spans over a century of shaping Nigeria's commercial and industrial landscape. Since its listing on the exchange in 1977, the company has consistently demonstrated resilience, reinvention, and strong corporate governance. Its footprint across food and beverage, paints and animal nutrition, quick service restaurant, and logistics make it not just a diversified conglomerate, but a business deeply intertwined with Nigeria's socioeconomic growth. So the result of experience, resilience, and innovation is seen in brands like Mr. Biggs, Swan, Gala, and so many other household names, and now the one and only Chi Limited that have joined the USC group. Beyond the breadth of its portfolio, UACN's legacy is rooted in value creation through decades of expansion, restructuring, and strategic partnerships. The group has continued to adapt to new consumer trends, shifting market dynamics, and emerging economic realities. The company's recent acquisitions further underscores its ambition to strengthen its market position, unlock synergies across its portfolio, and deepen its participation in high-growth segments of the Nigerian economy. Today's presentation allows the market to understand how these strategic moves are translating into operational efficiency, profitability, and long-term competitiveness. The capital market community is eager to hear more about the group's performance drivers, capital allocation discipline, and the evolution of its businesses, particularly against the backdrop of a rapidly changing consumer landscape. Equally important are insights into innovation, digitalization, route to market efficiency, and the company's approach to unlocking value across its subsidiaries. At NGS Group, we believe that engagement like this deepens the trust between the issuers and the market. High-quality, data-driven disclosures remain essential to strengthening investor confidence, broadening participation, and enhancing liquidity. UACN has been a long-standing partner in this regard, and we appreciate the company's commitment to sustaining this standard of transparency. As we move ahead, we remain fully committed to providing the platforms, market structures, and innovation that support issuers in accessing capital, driving growth, and creating sustainable value for shareholders. Ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to a rich and insightful section. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for Dr. Kwaranga as he heads back. Thank you so much for those welcome remarks. Now, we are going to welcome, of course, the CEO of the NGX for his opening remarks, Mr. Jude Chemaka.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You please permit me to rely on the well-established protocol by the group chairman. We're really pleased to welcome UACN to this event. The Facts Behind the Figures platform really provides an opportunity for listed companies to talk more around their strategy and their future plans, which ultimately will help investors as well as the trading license holders to have a proper information in determining the stock price of that particular company. A company like UACN, like the chairman rightly pointed out, has been in existence for a very long time, haven't been listed decades ago on the NGX. The NGX continues to be a viable platform for capital raise, but beyond capital raise, we have a very strong secondary market. Year to date, we've traded over 5 trillion naira value of shares in our secondary market equities transaction. But as a multi-asset exchange, our leanings will be more on the fixed income side going forward, and we'll be looking mostly around non-interest finance as well as sustainability. These are the two themes we would like to also encourage corporates to really look at in trying to raise capital. The federal government has utilized Sukuk excellently well, and I believe corporates can really tap into that pool of capital that are available in the market. But that said, let me also thank all the investors who were able to make it physically, and those who have joined us. We believe that it's important when corporates speak that people attend, and we're really happy that you took out time to be here. Let me also thank my colleagues in the primary market and our corporate communication team, as well as the team from UACN who have worked to put this event together. And I believe we will have an exciting time. I don't want to take a lot of time to allow the group managing director of UACN to really articulate their strategy properly. So try and ask all the questions as you want it to be a very interactive session. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to an enjoyable stay at Exchange.
Thank you so much. Round of applause again for the CEO of the NGX. All right, let's get into it. We're also going to take questions, I think, in sets of 3. So we're going to now get to the meat and potatoes of today. So please, a warm round of applause for the GMD of UACN, Mr. Fola Ayesimoju.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will stand on the well-established protocols. When we had a closed session upstairs, Temi bemoaned the misfortune of going after the chairman. And I now have that misfortune because, one, the energy he brings, the charisma, and he's covered many of the topics I'm going to go through. So bear with me for the repetition. In addition to the people that have been recognized, at UAC, first of all, my job is relatively easy because I'm surrounded by an amazing team of leaders, many of whom have been recognized today. But behind us, there's a phenomenal team. I can see David in the back. I can see Cynthia. They're still working during this. And I don't know if it's a breach of protocol, but I'll just like the team UAC to just rise for a round of applause. Thank you, and I hope, Jude, you're not going to sanction us for compliance breaches. Okay. So today is about, and before I proceed, I've seen some of our shareholders, UAC shareholders. Thank you. I see Evangelist. I see Mrs. Bakare somewhere. Thank you. Thank you for making time to be here today. Today is about 2 things. The first and most important is to say thank you to the stock exchange, to the capital markets, for the help, for the support, for the guidance, and crucially, for the capital. I think it was the Doyen who said that without this capital markets, you aided the development of UAC, and it is true. That was on the floor. The second is to take the market through the journey of how we got to the point of acquiring Chi, what we saw in the company that made us think it was a good investment, the work that went into completing the investment, and what we plan to do after the investment. I will discuss the soft side, people and strategy, and our GFD will discuss the hard side, the money and the numbers. So where do I move the clicker? Okay. That way? But where does what controls it? Where do I need to point it? Anywhere? Oh, right there. Okay. Okay, if we move, please, to slide 5. There we go. Okay. So I'll just call out the slide number, and if the tech team, please, helps. Fixed? Thank you. Okay. Good. So a lot has been said around UAC's heritage. The business is 146 years now, and when I joined, it was 140 years old. And it is crucial to make 2 points about the company's heritage. One is that we are fortunate that we inherited very solid foundations to build on. We didn't start from nowhere and go off to make this acquisition. People had gone, many people had gone before us to build solid foundations. And the way my colleagues and I manage the company is that in 150 years' time, there must still be a company to run when we're long gone. The second is, for over 50 years, we've been a partner to the NGX, and we've had the benefit of being supported by this great institution. And I shared on the floor that there are only 140 companies of the over 9 million registered businesses in Nigeria that have the privilege of being part of this elite club, and we don't take it for granted. In the closing prayer on the floor upstairs, I heard that you pray that the management team runs the company so that the benefit is shared by many. And it struck me because our purpose at UAC is to be an example of excellence and prosperity underpinned by integrity. And we want that prosperity to be shared. UAC has over 180,000 shareholders. So if my colleagues and I do well, that benefit is shared very, very widely. And we have a very large ecosystem. We have suppliers, we have vendors, we have 10,000 employees. So part of our ethos is shared prosperity. So to that prayer, we just say amen. Now, to the Chi acquisition, in one sentence, we got a wonderful business at a fair price. And we would share this Chi story in a number of sections. The first question is, why Chi and why now? Is what we'll spend a bit of time on. We will then explain what this company Chi is and does. Funke will take us through what we paid, how we structured it, and the like. And then I will share what we plan to do with Chi. So, in the why Chi, why now question, the first topic is we were ready. Acquiring a company that takes us from 200 billion to 700 billion in one fell swoop is a meaningful leap. The chair of our risk committee is here, and she won't let us take such leaps without rigorous assessment. And I feel that as a company, UAC, we were ready to make this kind of acquisition. And the first element of this readiness is the quality of the team. We have an outstanding management team that combines marketing, commercial, distribution with risk management, governance, sustainability, and also the ability to execute deals. And when you take on this kind of transaction, I would say that for myself, who is on the less value-added side, this is doing deals and finance and governance, there needs to be 100% confidence that the company continues to run and grow. And it's the strength of that team that allows the board to have the confidence to say, okay, go ahead and pursue this acquisition. The next element of preparedness is technology. Every day across Gala, Superbite, Beefy, Kingsway, we must sell almost 2.5 million units. We sell over 1 million liters of product every single day. We sell those products in Sokoto, we sell them in Yenegua. You cannot have any hope of doing this in an organized manner without robust technology. So we spent time and invested in the most advanced enterprise resource planning system a consumer company can have, SAP S/4HANA. And I can see our colleagues from our tech hub also in the room. We have a dedicated tech team that builds us technology to manage this kind of complexity. If we didn't have this, we would not have attempted to take on the kind of challenge that we took on. Next is management practices and processes. With this kind of complexity, we sell over 10 million liters of paint every year. You need a cadence. You need to know how to run these businesses, because you can't be excited. When you hear a truck broke down in this place, you can't be excited. There must be a very, very clear approach to running the businesses. We felt we had developed those processes. We feel we have very strong risk management, and growth is good and exciting, but growth without strong risk management is dangerous, because at the first strong breeze, the house falls down. We had invested and developed our risk management capabilities. Last and most importantly, we operate under very strong governance. Some members of the board will be very familiar to yourselves. Mrs. Oroche, the chair, has specifically acknowledged, chairs our risk committee. Carl Toriola, the MD of MTN, who is familiar to the exchange, chairs our governance committee. And Halifa Biobaku, who was our vice chairman, has assumed the chairmanship over the course of this year. And we have two other independent directors, Amina and Obi. So we have that strong governance umbrella that work extremely hard, very dedicated, very knowledgeable. And they find the balance of holding us accountable and yet giving us the space to take risk. I think finally in the preparedness journey is we are very clear that in a business like ours, which is owning scalable quality brands, there are very few things that matter. And if there's only one message I want to leave of those things that matter, product quality and availability. The Nigerian consumer is extremely loyal, but also extremely unforgiving if you disappoint that loyalty. So every single day when consumers go off and buy, whether it's a bag of Vital Feed or Livestock Feeds or Dulux Paint or Capri-Sun or Gala, we have to be sure that whether they buy that product in Yenegua or in Sokoto, they get the same quality. And we felt we had, well, that's a destination we would never get to. It's a journey. But we feel that we've made meaningful progress in that journey. And I think finally, in sort of convincing ourselves and our board, these efforts had begun to yield results. So the numbers that you see on the slide are without Chi. We've grown the company at a compounded rate, our earnings of 44% year on year. And we have some foreign investors. They say, but there was devaluation of 80%. Even in dollars, we've grown almost 10% year on year. So we felt that the approach was working. We also felt that our shareholders were validating this approach because our share price is the bar on the far left, has outperformed the all-share index and outperformed our own consumer index. And this is before the increases that Rotus mentioned that occurred in the last few days. And I'm not sure if this is the forum to sell, but this performance is before we announced the Chi acquisition, so by no means reflects what we've just acquired. Now, with all of these together, we felt we were ready, and we could persuade our board that we were ready. The next was the rarity of the opportunity. The company we bought, Chi, is not exactly 146 years old, but it's 45 years old in its own right. It's not a spring chicken. In those 45 years, the company has been sold only once, from the original founders to Coca-Cola. So we took the view that if you don't buy it now, it may be another 45 years before you see the opportunity. And I know they said we're a young management team, but I don't think even we will be around in 45 years' time. So we had to strike at this point. Next is timing. We all are market participants, and we know that the overall economy and the market are taking a very, very tough time. I think the trough would have been 2022 or so. We've been here for over a century. We're not going anywhere. So we thought, well, you had many companies deciding to leave, and the prices were cheap. We thought it was a great opportunity to pounce. And you see from this slide that already that window is closing because the prices are rising. So we felt if we didn't strike at that particular point in time, the opportunity may have become again, too expensive. And finally, we think that there's a lot of good work being done from a macro and policy level that will affect the things that we care most about in running our business. And the things that affect our business the most, or the thing that affects our business the most, is how much cash does the consumer have in their pocket. And there are two things that influence that number. One is how big is the economy, and what's the rate of inflation? Is inflation eating away the money going into their pockets? And I won't turn this into an economics class, but we all know that growth is going up and inflation is coming down. So the bet we're taking is that 5 years from now, the environment to be far better than the one that we just came from. So we're ready. It was a rare opportunity, and the timing was, in our opinion, almost once in a generation to strike. Finally is fit. We at UAC don't like doing everything. We think a company that's been around for so many years has figured out what works and what does not work. And we know that food and beverage works. So it fits very well with what we do. We also really, really, really want iconic brands. And we think that the brands that we've acquired in Superbite, in Chivita, in Hollandia, are not out of place with UAC's existing stable of brands. So it fits perfectly well. Quickly about Chivita. I've mentioned it's a 45-year-old company, started by an entrepreneur, contract manufacturing the Capri-Sun brand under license in Nigeria, then added the Chivita that we've grown to know and love, and added Hollandia. What those of you who have not seen the inside of the company may not know is that it's an extremely well-run company. And it is that combination of the brand strength and the quality of the business that led Coke to acquire it in 2016 to 2019. The business has a very, very well-invested factory. It's the largest factory of its kind, aseptic carton manufacturing in sub-Saharan Africa. Can produce over 52 SKUs and has world-class standards of quality management. So we've inherited a very, very well-invested and well-run company. Cheese distribution rivals, or should I say now complements UAC. The products are everywhere. And if you have a quality product, you have to make sure it is available. I should have stressed that the things we focus on are consistent product quality and availability. Chi fits very well in that equation. In the course of doing due diligence on a company, you are investors, so please pardon me for creeping into your own area. One of the questions you ask is, what's the quality of management? When we did our due diligence, we felt that Chi had a very good management team. It led us to invest. But I was on a call on Monday, and I was asked what's the single biggest surprise since we've acquired. And the single biggest surprise is positive. The management team is deeper and even higher quality than we expected going in. So it's a huge compliment to UAC's existing strong management team. In terms of the products and what Chi does 4 things predominantly. Makes juice, obviously, Chivita, with very big market share, 38% market share. We need to catch and pass the #1 player. But one thing I would stress is that at UAC, we look at 2 things. What is your market position and what is your market share? You have to be #1 and #2 in your market. But you can't be #2 if #1 has 80 and you have 5. So we like good position and big share. In the juice space, we have very large market share, and we're the #2 player there. Chi also plays in the evaporated milk space. We're the #2 player, also meaningful market share, 33% market share. But Hollandia is the #1 brand. The same company has the #2 and #3, so they combine to be bigger combined, but Hollandia is the #1 brand in the evaporated milk space. We also make drinking yogurt, and we're by far the #1 player in that space with over 40% market share. And there's Superbite, which makes sausage roll. Used to be Yemi's competitor before. They're now under the same stable and are by far the leading player in that space with Gala, Superbite, Beefy, and Kingsway. So these are the products that fit under what used to be the House of Chi and now fit under the overall UAC umbrella. Now, the business in numbers, last year, it did 428 billion naira, we at UAC are very reluctant to give guidance about the future, but this number will be much bigger for the full year 2025. The business did 54 billion naira in EBITDA. Again, this is the market, so you're much better at enterprise value EBITDA multiples than we are. But the EBITDA for last year was 54 billion. And when I talk about what we plan to do with the company, that 54 billion is by far the most important number. And we're presenting to our board early in December about our priorities for next year. Meaningfully improving that number is our number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 priority, and we'll explain how to the market in the outlook for the business. The business has about 1,600 full-time employees, supported by about 3,500 outsourced staff. I will now hand over to Funke to go through the transaction highlights, and then I'll come and take us through what we plan to do with the business.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand on existing protocols and continue the presentation. It really gives me great pleasure to speak about the transaction highlights. And I'd like to start with the next slide, please. Now, given the relative scale and importance of this transaction, it was important that we received robust advice. This slide represents all the advisors that contributed to that. We had extensive due diligence, advisors on legal advice across 2 jurisdictions, environmental advice, technical advice, and just all these parties we're extremely grateful to for allowing us to complete this transaction. We also secured insurance on our warranty and indemnity package, and there was tax advice in addition to all of this. So once again, we're extremely grateful to all the parties that supported us in this process. Next slide, please. Now onto the fun stuff, the numbers. The total consideration paid to the seller was 182 billion naira. And for this, the Chi business had no long-term debt. The business had 22 billion naira of cash, and its EBITDA is 22 billion naira. 54 billion naira. Thank you. We incurred about 9 billion naira in transaction expenses. I just showed you the image of all the parties that helped us do this, and that contributed to the transaction expenses, in addition to what we incurred in terms of regulatory expenses and the like. We also hedged our payment because it was denominated in dollars to the sellers, and given our focus on risk management, we weren't keen to take any naked US dollar exposure. I'll take you through the next step, the next page, which talks about the deal structure and the financing. And for us to do this and execute the transaction efficiently, we set up a newly incorporated special purpose vehicle, which is 100% owned by UAC. It was called UAC Food and Beverage Company Limited, and that company was the acquisition and financing vehicle. And this transaction involved 100% transfer of Chi's shares to UAC. I also mentioned the cash consideration of 182 billion naira, which is what we paid to the sellers. And to fund this, we've had a lot of questions around what was the funding mix and how did we do this. It was a combination of equity and debt. So we used UAC's cash, and we also received support from our bankers. More specifically, I don't know if you can see the numbers on the page, but 17% of this, or 31 billion naira, was UAC's own cash, and 152 billion naira, or 83% of the entire mix, was funded via debt from the banks. We structured the debt as a US dollar bridge loan. As you can imagine, the seller, being an international counterpart, wanted to receive their proceeds in dollars, hence why we structured it as a dollar bridge facility. And that also enabled us complete the transaction in a timely manner. I must stress that although we secured a bridge facility, we were also backed by our bankers with a long-term financing loan of about 7 years. So our Naira package is fully underwritten. What we aim to do as UAC is transition this debt to a longer-term Naira facility, and we aim to do that via two sources. We would be looking to the capital market to refinance some of that with a bond, and we would also look to the bankers to take out the rest of that. Supporting that program, we already have registered with the Security and Exchange Commission a 150 billion Naira bond program. So that provides us with flexibility to tap the market. And as we've seen earlier on the charts, the rates have started to trend down. So we're hoping to be able to benefit from that. It's also important to mention that UAC maintains an investment-grade credit rating profile. We're rated by two agencies, Augusto and DataPro A and A-, respectively. So I'll just summarize before I hand back to Fola by saying we executed the transaction through a newly incorporated SPV. The seller received 182 billion Naira, funded by UAC's cash and debt, and then we'll also extend that to become a longer tenured facility. Thank you all.
Thank you, Funke. For those who were at our last AGM, they will know we took some serious cane from our shareholders. Why are you holding cash? Why are you holding cash? And I can see some of them giving me side eye. At least now you know what to spend the money on. What I will just do now is talk about post-acquisition. And post-acquisition, we have further bolstered our house of scalable quality brands. And I think that the brands we've acquired are not out of place with the quality of brands that we had before. So we're very happy. Next is, although we've been growing very fast, there are two ways to grow. You can grow fast in your existing market, or you can find new growth markets. We've added three new very big growth markets. We're not in drinking yogurt, we've added it. We're not in milk, we've added milk. We're not in juice, we've added juice rather. So our core business has been growing and will continue growing very fast. We've added 3 new engines. We also feel we've taken on a very, very well-run business. So it allows us to focus on value creation instead of solving problems. And when I share what we plan to focus on in value creation, fortunately, it is the area in which we are very comfortable with and we have a very good track record. You can't discuss investment without discussing risk. So we should discuss both sides of the equation. There's one risk that has 2 manifestations that we saw when we did our due diligence. One was Nigeria doesn't produce enough raw milk powder or juice concentrate, so it has to be imported. So managing the FX risk around that is a key skill. We're very fortunate that our paint business has a very similar characteristic. We manage it very well, and as Naira devalued from 360 to 1,600, we actually saw the margins of that company increase. So we're aware of the risk, and we have the risk management to deal with it. The second, we view more as an opportunity, which is when companies have to import, they sometimes keep very long inventory days, so they're not out of stock. As of the end of last year, this company kept 220 days, or almost 8 months of inventory. We think it is excessive. And our identical business, I think, is at less than 3 months. But the beauty is, as we bring that in line to the way we run our businesses, there's meaningful cash that would be unlocked. So we see that one as a risk and an opportunity. With the acquisition of Chi, we have further accelerated our growth. We've been growing very fast, but we further accelerated that growth. When you consolidate the companies, we've gone from when we started here, an 80 billion Naira company, to a 700 billion Naira company in 6 years. And I think when my colleagues and I started, our operating profit was about 3 billion Naira. When you consolidate, we're over 50 billion Naira. So we have been growing very fast. Chi has accelerated that growth, but we remain very hungry and we remain very ambitious. And the next slide articulates what we aim to focus on. The top of that page is the business that we own that is most similar to Chi, which is UAC Food, and the bottom is Chi, before our management. In the same time horizon, both have grown extremely fast. Our business under Yemi's leadership has grown at over 60% year on year. Chi has grown 46%, not shabby. So we give both full marks for growth. But in this time period, when we've gone through COVID and cashless and all of these crises, our margins have increased from 1 to 15, and Chi's reduced from 5 to 6. By far, the single biggest focus for next year is taking that 6 to 15, and we're crystal clear on where that value is. If I want to leave any message, it is that because the business is a 500 billion naira business, every 1% increase in margin is 5 billion naira of profit, and we have 9% to do. So I work out at 45 billion naira, and that's a single value creation focus for this company. The second thing that we're going to do is right now we're about 2.5 times debt to long-term debt to EBITDA. Oh, sorry, this one is changing, that is not. Sorry about that. With my Bon Bolaji in the room, I won't opine on what optimal capital structure is, but we have been told that we should keep some debt. Whether it is 2, whether it is 3, is open for debate. But as a company, we're more comfortable. I should also stress that we sell 717 billion naira of stuff every year, of which at least 700 billion is cash. So we generate a lot of cash. And we're going to find the balance between reducing that leverage, which we can hold comfortably, on the one hand. On the other hand, people are saying keep the leverage and pay everything else as dividend. So we're going to find the balance between debating with our shareholders. When we take questions, we're also open to the feedback. But we're going to try and find that balance. As we generate cash, we as a management team, we want to reduce the debt, but some are saying be more optimal and pay more dividends. So we'll find that balance as we go along. Funke mentioned the capital markets. This one we didn't plan, which is declining yields. So when we started this transaction, yields were in the 20s. We're very fortunate that now that we're coming to the market, they're now in the mid-teens. This is just luck. But I think it is one of the benefits that we have from being a well-run, well-governed, listed company, that we can take advantage of these kind of opportunities when they come up. In conclusion, we're very grateful to have been in a position to acquire this business. We think it's a wonderful business at a great price, where it's unusual to say to people that you negotiate against, grateful to the sellers, because they chose to give us this business. They had choices, and when they weighed many considerations, they chose that UAC is a good custodian to continue this company's legacy. We're grateful to the market and to our shareholders for giving us the support to pursue this kind of acquisition. We've grown very fast, but we remain very hungry and aggressive. And we're crystal clear about what our focus is for the immediate term. We like doing things one by one, which is how do we realize an additional 45, 50 billion of profit from the one we already own. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoyed that. A round of applause for the leadership team. Very informative, but now you're going to take questions, right? And this is the fun part. So we're going to take questions in groups of 3. And the Doyen has his hand up. Is the NGX leadership, is the Doyen allowed to ask the question? He is? Oh, he is? Okay. Because it's any other questions? Sets of 3. So, okay, second hand there. Any third? And the third, all right, we're gender diverse. So we'll start with the Doyen, and you can direct your question.
My able chairman, my Doyen, my own is about commendation and congratulations. I won't go to other this. I want to congratulate UAC and the new management. I congratulate you for this thing you have done. And my commendation will go to Bolaji, but I'll start with the congratulations first. Because if somebody is doing something, you have to encourage him to do more. When I trained on this floor, by 1988, when I started trading, any client that I solicited, by the time they want to put their order, UAC must be one. And at a time, we see that the UAC is fizzling out. And I'm always happy when the stock I trade on regularly comes back into the market. And, the chairman notes that even the Iroko tree, when there's dry season, it will shade its leaf to enable him to survive throughout the dry season. I think maybe that's what happened to UAC. Yes. Now that you are back, don't allow the dry season to return again. For Bolaji, chairman, when he was training, and I said, let's bring all of them together. Because my grandmother used to say, plant the yams, plant all of them. You don't know which one will survive and which one will bring two tubers from the ground. That was what we did with Bolaji. So when other people were saying so many things, he knows. So many of the time he will go to the 8th and 9th floor. He knows what he collected from there. So we encourage him and he trained. Chairman, you can see the... So that's why these days, any young brokers that's coming, we encourage you. Because if you see the fowl or chicken scattering shit on the road, please drive it away. Because when they kill that fowl, it must be you. Maybe your brother or your relation that will eat that leg. Congratulations, UAC.
All right, our next question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mine is more of a question, but before going to asking that question, just like to take you back to the last time I attended the Fast Behind the Figures, organized by UAC. That time, I think what happened then was that there was some kind of disagreement between the UAC management and then the exchange. I think it was 2006 or 2007 when that disagreement was just that the UAC will not want to have his fact behind the figure, at the exchange, that would prefer to go to the MD's house. That was 2006 or 2007. I don't know whether you guys still remember that. Somewhere in the Koyi or so. So what I'm trying to say is that UAC tried to maintain his brand, that he will not allow a situation where he will do fast behind the figures and then he will not bring his own food. If he must serve food, it must come from his table. So you are trying to guide that, you have that brand quality. You cannot serve on that brand here. And the exchange allow you to say, okay, you can do it at another venue. And that took place at somewhere in the Koyi, I think the residence of the MD then. So it was an interesting thing, guiding your brand. Now, let me take you to this real transaction. And I think you've done well in that, in that respect. You said that you want to retain, or let me just say that you have already retained the management that you met on ground. That's a good one. But I would like to take you through an experience. It's just one experience that today, being a guiding principle, when it comes to business of this nature. It was in an MBA class. And then the professor walked to my section of the class and asked a question. Say, you, why do managers study history? I gave him what I thought was the right answer. He said no. He called on other students there, maybe one or two. They also made attempt. The professor said no. He was not satisfied. Then he asked for a volunteer. No student was willing to volunteer. Because having listened to others, say, what do we say? Then he walked back to my section of the class again and said, improve on what you said earlier. I thought he wanted me to panabit the grammar. The professor said no. He now said, it's an Igbo man. He said, Onye mere MBA, use MBA sense. In other words, he was trying to tell us that the word of business is not a common sense word. It's not a word of common sense. It's a word of complex and uncommon sense. Now, why am I saying this? You are retaining this management, fine. But the ownership has moved from the old ownership that had that management to UAC, who has its own style of managing a business. Are you sure that out there are no competitors or no group of business people who had eye on Chi to seize their market share, but now say, it's not in the hand of UAC, we can catch them? How prepared are you for that? It's a complex word. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final question is to the lady in blue here. Well, okay, she was third, but we're gonna have you after her. But she's the next question.
Okay.
Hello? Okay. All protocol duly observed. First, I want to congratulate the board and management of UAC PLC for the acquisition of Sheep Company. You've done very well because I believe this will add to it will increase our revenue and also increase our bottom line. So it's very good for we shareholders. But I have only one question based on that. My question is, considering the cash outflow for the acquisition of She Company, looking at it, especially when I listened to the MD on the amount that we have spent on this acquisition process, would this not going to affect our dividend policy and our cash flow statement? Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I am David Adonri of High Cap Securities. I like to commend the MD for his very illuminating presentation. Having said that, I'm looking at this acquisition from Coca-Cola. First, I wanted to clarify if Coca-Cola is still in this beverages business. I think Coca-Cola is associated with Five Alive. So if they are still in Five Alive and they are mounting serious competition against your own products, how do you intend to establish competitive edge over them? And then secondly, you have stated that you intend to refinance your debt exposure with which you undertook this acquisition. But you are also refinancing a debt with another debt. Is there no possibility of perhaps in making it a hybrid refinancing strategy by perhaps issuing some equities so as to reduce your finance risk? And then third and final, you also spoke about currency risk, considering the fact that your dairy raw materials are imported. But I was saying UAC that is associated with the indigenous growth of the Nigerian economy. In fact, I thought I read sometime that UAC actually owns Nigeria because UAC, through the Royal Niger Company, bought Nigeria from the colonialists. So you are actually associated with this system with a view to developing the system internally. So what about the issue of backward integration? But what we have seen is you have been exiting from indigenous enterprise like AT&P, that were completely established to indigenize the productive base of the economy. So looking at the dairy section, do you have a plan, a concrete plan for backward integration so that your dairy products can be sourced fully from Nigeria? Thank you very much.
So I guess you can take, whoever wants to answer in sets, sorry.
Oh, okay. Please permit me to respond seated. First of all, the speakers commended us. Thank you. We appreciate the commendations. And I will try and take them in order. I'm glad that we no longer ask people to come and meet us. We bring our products to the NGX, so we don't have those kind of debates any longer. I think the first question was how prepared we are for competition. It's what we live with every day. Before we bought Chivita, people were trying to catch us in Durox, trying to catch us in Gala, trying to catch us in livestock, trying to catch us in Grand Cereals. So it's a regular part of business. And it goes back to one of the points that I raised. The winner is going to be the person that offers the consumer the best quality at the best price, where the consumer wants it. It boils down, because we operate in a very democratic industry. We're selling sugar, Gala, milk, we're selling paint. So you go to the supermarket store, if I like the quality and I like the price, I buy. So our job as UAC's management is to ensure that we give the best quality at the best price and meet the consumer's convenience, so where they want it. And that's what we focus on. We've done so well for over a century. We have no intention of stopping now. And the company we've bought, Chi, you don't get 30, 40% market share if you don't already do those things. So what we have to do is to continue, or I guess do them better. So that's how we think about competition. And I would also I would jump dividend and go to the question about Coca-Cola. Yes, Coca-Cola, actually, Nigerian Bottling Company, which is a franchisee, I think that's the correct word, of Coca-Cola, produces Five Alive. They are competitors. We wish our competitors the best, but our intention is to be number one. So if we give our consumers the best Chivita at the best quality at the best price where they want it, we will do well. We don't worry. We can't control what other people do, so we focus on what we can control. On to dividend policy, what we said was we don't like dividend volatility. So I think what we said to the market is that we'll maintain a certain level of dividend until it changes. Now, the hope was that it changed up, not down, but that's what we said. And because we knew we were gearing up for a large acquisition, we didn't increase that dividend in spite of the harsh feedback we got. Now, and we said we would change our dividend payout when something changes. Something has changed. So I think logic suggests that that we'll also relook at that dividend policy. Now, I want to clarify a point about this debt refinancing, and I'll say two things. One is, because of our risk aversion, we would not do a deal without long-term funding. So our debt is 7-year debt. If we sit down and keep it for the next 7 years, we'll just be paying it off. But we've always tried to keep our borrowing via a mix of bank financing and capital market financing. We always try and do the two, and those who are in the CP market to see that we routinely issue CPs. At the point of doing the transaction, the debt market is a bit more structured. You go to SEC, you open your offer, you go to you close. You don't have the dynamism of the banks where you have to close on a Friday and you can close. So we said close with your long-term bank debt and then go back to what you try to do as balance. The question of why don't you raise equity has come up many times. If we need to, we would, but we have 6-7 billion naira of EBITDA and 57 billion of cash, of debt, bank interest, or bank service. So we have a lot of excess cash. And we don't want to find ourselves right back where we started from, where we got feedback that why do you have so much cash and nothing to do with it? So we don't need to raise the equity, so we won't raise it. If we need to raise equity to do something, we'll come to the market to raise it. There's no aversion to it. We just don't want to raise equity to look at money that is not adding any value to our shareholders. And then in terms of backward integration, it is very important on our agenda, but the one thing we need to stress, backward integration is like a snail. You sort of, if you're doing 100 importation, you can move to 99, 98. You can't wave a magic wand to do so. And so for us, it's a very important but very long-term initiative. It is also extremely unlikely that we start farming, rearing cows. What we do, and if you do I have time? I can go chapter. Okay. So the way we think about backward integration is you first of all define what you are sourcing, and sometimes people just say, I want to source from Denmark or Germany. We have to define what are the quality parameters that we want. We communicate those quality parameters to local players who may not meet those quality parameters today. And then we work with those local players to up their quality parameters and tell them if you get there, you have offtake. And gradually you begin to see a shift of 100 to 99 to 98, but there's no silver one that we can wave. I think I've addressed the 4 speakers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that essentially brings us to a close. We're going to have the doyen give us his closing remarks, and then we ask for the executives to prepare for photographs, so we'll have you in different sets.
Thank you very much. The MD of UAC and his team, I congratulate you. I've listened attentively to your presentation, and I must say I'm quite impressed. I'm impressed with one or two things. One is that if I get the message right, what you are telling us is, hey, look at me. I'm inheriting a company that has been here for so long, and I've been doing things in a certain way. Even though they are doing fine, but we are a new generation. And we want to leverage on what they have been doing and do it better. Therefore, we are exploring new areas. And we are ready to explore that with what they have built so that we can have a better managed organization and a bigger managed organization, a more aggressive one, and one that can take advantage of what the market is presenting. That's the kind of message I'm getting from you. And if that's the message, I am all with you, and I'm sure the market is with you. You are saying that we are ready to take risk. We're not going to sit on the fact that, okay, we have been a colonial master, we've done very well, no. There are potentials in the Nigerian market, and we want to exploit. And even this acquisition that you have made, I'm understanding that with that acquisition, the 180 billion deal is on record as the largest merger and acquisition deal in the Nigerian consumer goods space. That UAC is the one leading in that kind of thing. It's not only commendable, but it's reflective of the fact that when you have the younger one taking advantage of the success of the older one, they do better. And As far as I'm concerned, as the doyen on the market, and I believe I'm speaking for my colleague, broker, we shall be ready to support you. In every aspect that you take, we shall support you, we shall guide you, we shall ask you, please be close to us. We don't want you to tell us all of this story that is very exciting and inspiring. And then you withdraw to your boardroom and then come back 6 months later to start telling us story. What we want to do is to be partner in progress with you. And therefore, we have a forum here where we provide for you to come and be talking and having this kind of conversation with brokers, so that you tell us the progress and say, I promise you I'm going to do this. These are the challenges I'm having. These are the progress I'm making. And I can tell you I'm on course. If you are not, the broker will give you advice as to what to do to amend the situation. If you are, the broker will clap for you like they have been clapping for you and guide you to achieve what you want to achieve. So my advice to you is, please be closer to us. We have a fact and fixture facility. You can always come and take advantage of it. And if you like, come every month to tell us. We will listen to you. We would also give you a feedback of the market and say that all of these things that you are saying, if everything you say today, if they are not right, we will not hesitate to tell you, sorry, young man, yes, you have ambition, but this is not in the right direction. But listening to you, and I take care to listen to everything you have said, I can see that you know what you are doing, and you talk it out. All I will say is, you have our support. The market will support you. May God also support you, so that I achieve your.
Our thanks to Alhaji Rashid Yusuf, the doyen, there for his closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this Facts Behind the Figures. We'll just ask now that we have the directors of the UAC and executives of the NGX stand by for pictures, and we'll call different sets. Thank you all. Thank you so much.